Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build a new and improved melon and pumpkin farm for your world that uses a flying machine to automatically harvest all of the crops for you. This is an extremely simple and easy to put together farm, not to mention very cheap as well, as no matter how big you decide to build your farm, the redstone cost stays the exact same no matter the size, which is really convenient, and this farm is pretty efficient as well. If you build a farm in similar size to the one that we have right here, which is just 32 blocks long, then you'll get about 8,000 melon and pumpkins per hour, so that is really nice. And as you can see, how the farm functions is pretty simple. We simply launch the flying machine every couple of minutes. Attached to the bottom of the flying machine is some rails with hopper minecarts on top of them, and that just breaks all of the melon and pumpkins and also collects them as well. Once the flying machine returns to your main docking station, it just unloads all of those crops into your storage system. And there's not much more to say about this farm. You don't need to chunk align it. You can build it anywhere, facing any direction in your entire world. And you can of course tile these things right next to each other as well to have multiple of them in a row, or you can make it as long as you want as well. It's honestly a very flexible and very just nice little farm to have. Now the cons to it, if you want to call them that, is that there's like a less than 0.5% loss. It's literally like one item out of every couple thousand, so that's not too big of a deal. And also do keep in mind that because we're using a flying machine, if you unload the area or leave the game as it is flying, it's most likely going to stop. But that is not difficult to fix at all. All you need to do is place a torch on front of one of the observers and it'll start right back up. If you're familiar with my channel, you might remember a couple of weeks ago I uploaded a very similar tutorial but using a different flying machine, and it turns out that this flying machine has a lot of very weird quirks with it and just isn't reliable. So for this one I switched out to the very standard and very reliable terracotta flyer. This thing is super good. I've used it in like 5 other tutorials at this point and it just works extremely well, of course. And it is quite the hassle to get it to work with this particular farm, since half of it moves to the side by a block once it hits the return station. But I finally figured that out, and this thing works extremely well. I've tested it thoroughly. So let's just hop into the tutorial, shall we? Down in the description of the video is going to be a full materials list for this entire build if you're interested, of course. And I'm going to be doing the tutorial for the 32 block long farm, which is basically exactly what you see right there. So to get started, you want to make sure that you have an 11 wide by 32 block long area of dirt. That's of course going to be for all of your plants. And on the far end of this, you want to make sure that you have an additional 4 blocks of space to build your return station. On the main end of this, you want an additional 8 blocks of space for the return station and for docking your flying machine. And some of this is also going to be used for additional plants as well. So the first thing that we want to do is install our water sources. So find the center line of your pad of dirt, which is going to be this right here. And because it is 11 wide, we need 2 water sources, one to either side of the center line. So go in 4 blocks from your very front edge right there, and basically just install an upper slab and fill that with a water bucket, and then put a torch on top of that for some lighting as well. And of course you need 2 of those. So now you want to space these out by 8 blocks going all the way down, and there should be 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is where your next set goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Your next set goes there. And then this one is actually a 7 block gap, simply to not have the water like spilling out over into that area. So once you have those water sources in place, we can actually start planting in our melons and pumpkins. So now that you have your water sources in place, you need to start tilling out where all of your plants are going to go. So we're going to go to the far left side and just make a little line there, skip a block, another line, and just keep on doing that until you reach the far right side. And that should be 6 tilled lines in total. So now we're going to alternate in between pumpkin seeds and this row to melon seeds to pumpkin seeds, basically all the way until we reach that side. So that's pumpkins, melons, pumpkins, melons, pumpkins again, and finally ending with melons. And of course you need to till this going all the way down to the end and plant this entire thing in. And now go down to the main end of your farm where you have the 8 block reserved area, and you need to install a hopper line just like this with those additional solid blocks in place as well. This is going to be the main item collection for your entire farm, and also going to be like the foundation for all of the rest of your flying machine and the redstone as well. You also want to go ahead and install this little bit of dirt on the side as well, because this actually allows you to get a couple extra plants and a few extra melon and pumpkins. And now we're going to start working on the right side back, and go ahead and just place in a little wall right there to keep in all of your items and minecarts. That can be just made out of solid blocks. And now go ahead and place in 3 pieces of rail, 1 block apart, and that should all be lined up with these rows of dirt, of course. Now, in between these, you want to go ahead and either place in some glazed terracotta or a piece of obsidian, of course, to make sure that your flying machine doesn't move them. While you're over here, you can also go ahead and remove this block, replace it with a waterlogged slab, and place a torch there as well. That way you actually hydrate all of this corner of the farmland. So now we're going to move over to the left side, and you basically just want a sticky piston there and there, again lined up with these rows of dirt, and just place a couple pieces of rail there as well. Now go ahead and get a block in between these pistons, and just 3 blocks out the back side as well. That should line up with your little wall. And now to start on the flying machine, you want to grab yourself 5 slime blocks and line them up all right here along this back wall. Get yourself a sticky piston right there with a piece of glazed terracotta next to it, and a slime block as well, and finish it off with 1 observer on that back block right there. And to finish off the flying machine, you want a piece of obsidian right there with a normal piston facing to the side right in front of it. Go ahead and get 1 glazed terracotta in front of it like so, and then just get a little L shape of slime blocks going all the way to the edge of your farm. And that is pretty much it for that. Grab yourself an observer and 1 sticky piston right there, and that is your flying machine completely done. And now swing around to the back side of your flying machine, and you want 1 observer up into the diagonal of this main observer there. Get a solid block down and behind it, and then 5 slabs kind of wrapping around that piece of obsidian there. 3 redstone dust on top of those blocks, and a repeater on 4 ticks there. Another one on 4 ticks, and 1 more on 2 ticks right there. Go ahead and get a solid block above that piece of obsidian, and 1 right in front of that repeater as well. And don't forget the redstone dust right there on that piston. Swing around to the back side again and get a redstone torch there, and 3 more pieces of redstone dust. That should power both of those sticky pistons, and they should grab those rails. So before we do anything further, we're going to go ahead and remove that redstone dust so that we don't accidentally launch our flying machine. And now we need to finish off this entire back redstone with an etho hopper clock. Everyone knows how to build these. Just put 2 hoppers going into each other like so, with comparators reading out of both of those hoppers. On this side, we want to have 2 blocks right here, redstone dust on both of those blocks, with normal pistons facing inwards, and a redstone block in between them, just like so. So now you want a repeater right here going up into a block, redstone torch on top of that block, and a block up into the side of that one as well, redstone dust right there, and then just a sticky piston on the front of that like so. Now grab yourself a lever, and we would just want to put that right there. And finally, go ahead and put yourself 1 observer facing to the side on front of that sticky piston. So this is going to be the on and off switch for your entire farm. If you want to turn off your farm, flick that lever and the thing will never launch again, which is nice. And when you actually want it to run, just flick that up. So now what you want to do is go ahead and put about 4.5 stacks of items in there. You can do less if you want, you can do a little bit more if you want, but that's going to activate your flying machine every couple minutes. So now that all of this is installed over here, we're going to go to the opposite end of the farm and install the other return station. The first thing that you want to do is install a little 5x3 pad of solid blocks on the right side. And now we're going to go and work on the left side as well. So we just want a little wall right here and 2 pieces of glazed terracotta like so. Get yourself a normal piston facing this way, and get yourself an observer facing that way as well. Solid block behind it, 3 more solid blocks below it, 2 pieces of redstone dust, and a repeater on 3 ticks as well. And that is everything that actually pushes over the flying machine. What you want to do from here is get yourself an observer facing upwards right in front of that piston. So just like so, get a solid block underneath that, and then 3 pieces of redstone dust. going into a repeater on 2 ticks right there, solid block in front of it, and then a piece of redstone dust there. So once you have all of that installed, go ahead and get yourself a sticky piston there and there as well. And these will of course be lined up with the rails that you have on the opposite side. And these pistons are basically just going to help keep these rails in line so they don't get pushed over by a block and end up wiping out all of your plants. So that would be terrible. So once you have those installed, just go ahead and put 3 pieces of glazed terracotta in these locations there. And you want 3 pieces of obsidian in these locations there, if I can place some blocks. There we go. And now while we're down here, let's go ahead and finish off with the redstone. So 3 pieces of redstone dust there, repeater on 4 ticks there, and 2 repeaters on 4 ticks like so. Now go back up to the top and just fill in the rest of this with some more glazed terracotta. And that is our entire little return station completely done. So that is our entire farm completely built up. The final thing that we need to do is go ahead and place in 5 hopper minecarts on all of these rails. So don't forget that one right there. It's a little bit sneaky. And go ahead and put in those ones as well. We're also going to go ahead and place that piece of redstone dust back and flick the lever. We should see this flying machine activate. These hopper minecarts are of course in this correct row, which is lovely. And once it hits this system down here, everything should be kind of retracted and moved over a block and then launched again. And this system was really time consuming to figure out, but it does work very reliably. So we kind of push them out from underneath the thing and then just kind of keep them extended for a little while. And it works super reliably. It took a very long time to figure out, but it's super nice. And as you can see, this farm works fantastically. All of these hopper minecarts are going to get unloaded on these hoppers over here once this thing actually docks. And of course, all the items are going to go into our chest, and you can move that chest into whatever storage system you like. But as you can see, we're getting ourselves tons and tons of drops. So the last thing to cover is lighting. You of course want to make sure that all of this can grow at night and that there's no mob spawns or whatever. So what you can do if you're cheap is just go a block above your flying machine with more glazed terracotta and just cover that in torches if you want to. That looks kind of janky, but it does work. Or what you can do is go 2 blocks above your flying machine with light emitting blocks. That way they don't get dragged along, and that'll work just as well. So do whatever you want, just spam this area of light sources and you'll be doing pretty fine. So sorry that the previous design wasn't as good as it maybe should have been, but this one uses the much more reliable flying machine, so I don't foresee many issues at all with this one. Hopefully it serves you guys very, very well in your worlds. But that is of course going to do it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, then let me know in the comment section down below, as I'm always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. And if you enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here so you don't miss the next tutorial, and I will see you all down in the comment section. And in the next one, thank you again for watching, and then there was silence.